Hello everybody, welcome back to Captain Equine, the podcast. Today we are going to go talk about, I have a kitty who's really wanting my attention. We're going to chat about my colt's recent injury, how the last training challenge went, setting up our brand new training challenge, and talking about a little bit of motivation. So let's go ahead and get started into the story portion. So whenever I say colt, he really hasn't been a colt in a little while. He's really a young gelding. He's 2, almost 3 in April, and he's just been my project since he was 8 months old. I have loved working with him. He has been a shining example of how amazing positive reinforcement can be. I do use a combination of horsemanship with him now because we were attempting to get him back under saddle, but the day after I got him under saddle for the first time, I was riding, I was on him. He decides to jump over the fence into the neighbor's pasture. We don't know how that happened or when that happened. We just know that it happened because we saw him jump back over and hit a fence post, degloving his leg, face planting, and hurting his eye, and getting lots of barbed wire cuts on the other hand. So all in all, he hurt himself pretty good. So it was 14 days of stacked bandages, 5 different medicines, and just lots of care. For the first 3, we had every 6 hours eye care. For the first 3, we had every 6 hours eye care, every 8 hours, I believe, antibiotics, probiotics. Every day, 2 grams of painkillers, bute. There was one more that was also every 12 hours. I can't remember off the top of my head because it was done after 3 days, I believe. But honestly, having positive reinforcement, if I hadn't trained him so much when he was younger to be good with shots and taking medicine and doing eye drops, we would not be doing the same story here. It just wouldn't have turned out that way. It just wouldn't have. Even our very conventional, been there, done that, he fought and fought and fought and fought and fought whenever we had to do eye drops with him. And he ended up losing his eye. So it was much more painful than Max was. But honestly, I will never regret the time I spent doing medical care with him when he was younger because we were able to care for him really easily. So after that, it was every 8 hours eye drops, 12 hours antibiotic, probiotic, and 1 gram of bute every day. So at this point, we were getting close to our first bandage change, and that's whenever I started working really heavily on us being able to handle that leg. I spent 3 days on it. I did a session twice a day, every day, and we just worked really, really hard on getting his leg not sensitive to us messing with it. The other person that would have to change the bandage just could not get comfortable with it because of how aggressive he had been at the vet's office with biting and all that. So she wanted us to try and take him to the vet. So we made an appointment and was quickly proven that taking him to the vet was not going to work. He's had some really bad experiences with trailers, mainly because the only reason he's ever gotten in one up to this point was for being injured or being hurt. So that day, he was incredibly dangerous. He bit, he would trot around, he would try and escape as hard as he could, and it was pouring down rain and he's terrified of puddles, and it was just, all in all, a terrible experience, and we could not get him into the trailer. So we ended up canceling that appointment, making an appointment for 2 days later, and then we started preparing for us to try and change the bandage at home. We had 5 plans. Plan 1 was to try it my way, positive reinforcement, and just do it that way and see what happens. Plan 2 was to sedate him at home and try and do it that way. Plan 3 was to sedate him and try and get him into the trailer and have the vets do it. There's really only 3 plans, but still. And thankfully, positive reinforcement once again proved that it works because he was perfect. He was just a perfect gentleman during the bandage change. Not a single issue. So we did not have to braid the trailer yet, but that will be an adventure I have to take here soon as he gets that stacked bandage off him. So we did, after that, it was every 12-ish hours. Yeah, every 12 hours for the eye drops, 12 hours for antibiotics, 12 hours for probiotics, 1 gram of bute every 2 days for the next 3 days. Now, this is where things began to get less about me trying to make him able to do stuff, like do the medical care that we needed to do with him. I didn't have to work on eyes or taking meds at all, but I did have to work on his bandage a lot. I got to actually start doing the things I had planned to do during his stall rest for this day, which was start working more heavily on his manners, starting to refresh skills and teach him skills that I had missed before, and just overall refreshing everything I needed to and making sure that he wasn't going to be a pain for anything. So that's where we are now. We are he still has a stacked bandage on. He's going to be trained in all the things that he needs to refresh for the next few days until we get that stacked bandage off. After it is off, we are going to put on a smaller bandage. He's still going to have a bandage for a while, but a smaller bandage, and he's going to be able to start doing hand walks. I'm really excited about this because he has had some incidents within the stall where he's really proves that he's really struggling not to be able to run around and do his energy. And he's not going to be able to run around per se, and he won't be able to go anywhere without like 30 fences. But it's really exciting for us to begin to see the next step in rehabbing him and getting him back on his feet for us to work together in the future. So I'll do another episode on him in a few weeks, just talking about how I'm managing his hand walks and all that stuff, just to give an idea of how to do it yourself if you're having a really energized young horse. He's been stuck in a stall for 2 weeks and is injured, so you have to be really careful, etc. and so forth, working on getting him back into a working schedule without him hurting himself, you, or anybody else. So that is all for the storytelling portion, I guess. We're going to go ahead and move on to recapping how the last training challenge went, talking about the next training challenge, and then moving on to our motivation segment. The last challenge, I hopefully went really well for those who chose to do it. I did not get any video contestants this time, so there are no winners. So that's really all for the recap. I hope it all went well for y'all. If you have any questions about the targeting challenge whatsoever, make sure to put them in the comments or on any of my other videos. I will answer them. The next challenge is going to be manners. So basically what manners is whenever a horse is not trying to invade your space, just as a really, really broad term. So what we're going to do is you're going to step by step try and get your horse to put its face away from you and not be trying to rob your treat pouch, etc. and so forth. So you're going to want to start this in protected contact. Protected contact is whenever your horse is on one side of a barrier and you're on the other, but you can still interact through it. So you're going to make a distraction or just wait for your horse to turn its face away from you. Click, treat. You're just going to want to do that over and over and over again. The first few sessions of these are going to be longer sessions just due to the fact that unless you have a partner there that's making noise over to the side, it can be a little bit difficult for a horse to switch off their attention from you, especially if they've been robbing the treat pouch in the past. So once you get to a good point, it's really up to you what that good point is. If they're turning their face to the side at least once or twice, this might be a good point, or if they're just doing it over and over and over again, you might choose to add this in. It's really up to you. But you're going to want to start saying your cue for the manners behavior. So I say manners, and for some of my horses I say grown-ups are talking because that's a fun way to do it. You can really use anything. I would recommend using 1 or 2 words. Don't do anything too long. It can just get a little bit confusing. So you're going to say your cue, and then you're going to wait for them to turn their head to the side. You're going to click whenever they do and treat. You're just going to keep doing that over and over and over again. Now, this is going to be multiple sessions, so just keep working at it your horse will get it eventually. You just need to keep repeating. You can also still have your friend or helper off to the side clapping, trying to get them to turn their face to you whenever you're stuck, but it should be relatively simple. Once they're turning their head to the side and giving you space every single time you're requesting your cue manners, then you're going to want to go ahead and try and start doing it for longer periods of time. So you're going to want to say manners, then have them turn their head to the side, count to like 3, then treat. You're going to want to do this randomized, so you might do it counting to 3 times, then you might want to do it counting to 5, then you might want to go back to 3, then maybe do 2. Just do it differently each couple times. You don't want it to always be the same because then they hold on to that. So that is really all. I will remain in protected contact for a while, so most likely our next challenge is going to be manners in non-protected contact, but this one's just going to be manners in protected contact. For extra help, I do have a manners tutorial on YouTube. It is not a great quality one. I'm going to have to redo it sometime this year, but it's a little bit of a difficult skill to show me teaching whenever I've already taught all of my horses the skill. The other way you can go and get a little bit of help is my first 4 skills guide. It's $8. You can find it on my link tree, which is linked in the bio of my YouTube. And it does detailed instructions for targeting, manners, leading, and station. I would also recommend that you have already completed doing targeting before this because it teaches your horse what the click means, and the click can be a little bit harder to explain during manners. So yeah, that is all for our training challenge. I will upload a sound for this one. So make sure to watch out for that and use it if you want my help on shorts. You can also just comment that you have a video for me on any of my videos and I'll go check it out. Okay, lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about motivation. So I understand motivation can be a little bit difficult. I struggle with it a lot, which is why I chose to make that a segment in my podcast. Because it's sort of like if I'm telling y'all what to do, I should probably do it myself. Today's is going to be really short because all I really have to say is to go out there and do something with your horse. Groom them, saddle them, ride, work on a new skill you wanted to teach them with positive reinforcement, work on tricks. Doesn't matter, go do something. So that is going to be all for today's podcast. I will post a free PDF about manners next week during the Q&A segment of the podcast. For anybody needing a little bit of extra help with manners, it'll just have troubleshooting, so like the top 3 most common problems, and then some solutions for them. So yeah, bye!